Hello. Looks like we're live. Thanks everyone for joining. You are here joining the Battle of the Maps Part 1, a B2B showdown of some of the 4 best marketing automation platforms that are on the market today. So thanks for joining. Again, this session is really intended to really cut through kind of the marketing speak and the sales spec sheets that you might have on some of these platforms, and trying to give you an honest assessment of how these marketing automation platforms perform in the real world, and particularly against some of the observations and experience that we've had directly with these platforms with real life clients that we work with today. So without further ado, let's get ready to rumble. The 4 contenders that we have in the ring today. So Salesforce, formerly known as Pardot, account engagement. We have Adobe Marketo Engage. And then rounding out the final 4, we have HubSpot and Eloqua. Each of these has their own strengths and weaknesses. So one quick sort of caveat to today's presentation is, as we go through this was really bent against a lens where it's somewhat general. Again, we can't account for every single nuance, but what we try to do is look at it in 4 different categories, which hopefully adds a little bit more practicality. Before we dive in, I will introduce myself. I'm Arturo. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here at Shift. I have been in digital marketing and tech consulting for over 20 years, helping clients like you identify the right strategies and roadmaps and plans to execute against those strategies across different functions and technologies. With me today, I have Isaac. I will let him introduce himself. Isaac, over to you.
Thanks, Arturo. So my name is Isaac Ferreira. I lead growth strategy here at Shift. I've also been in technology and growth strategy for the better part of 25 years. Started military, been in a lot of verticals, and have had the opportunity to save or make my clients as well as my employers over $700 million. I am going to pass it back to Arturo, who's going to talk to us about how this works.
Yeah. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's presentation, one quick moment of orientation. If this is your first time joining us on this platform, which a lovely partner SQL that we're using today for the webinar. So there's some things on the right-hand side where you can click and view chat. We have some resources lined up, so there's some links there. In addition to today's presentation and the deck itself, we can follow up with that. And then more importantly, I know if you are viewing it the way I am, which is having the chat panel open, if you wanted to see more of a full screen below the presentation itself, there's an expand view that you can go full screen. So feel free to do that. But in terms of what we are expecting to cover today, as I mentioned, so we'll look at the 4 contenders against 4 categories. FinServe and healthcare manufacturing specifically. We'll dig into hospitality and B2B SaaS. Now, again, obviously, these are 4 of many different categories and verticals that are out there in the world. We couldn't certainly fit all of them into one session. Quick preview or sort of precursor, we also have a part 2 coming up. So again, we can cover off on additional verticals in future episodes of these series. But we'll talk more about part 2 at the tail end of this presentation. As we get into this again, really kind of look at what each platform does within the vertical and category, the pros and cons, how they go head to head. I will kind of be color commentary, and then Isaac will round out each round with sort of who wins against the judges' scorecard. So without further ado, let's kick off round 1. So financial services. So within financial services, obviously there's a lot to consider, especially as it relates to compliance and regulatory considerations. The things that we looked at within this category, in addition to that, is obviously taking into account omni-channel orchestration for acquisition, onboarding, and retention. Across the FinServe category, our expertise is, within wealth management, banking, and credit, and even the financial sector in and around kind of property and auto insurance. So some of the clients that we work with today First American Home Warranty, Allstate. We also, one of our biggest clients is American Express. We also work with Fairstone Bank out of Canada and First Command Financial Services, which is a credit union that really caters to armed forces personnel. As we looked at the category 2, we know that it's got complex buying committees. So there's influencers and decision makers that need to be accounted for. Any journeys that you create that are enabled by a marketing automation platform needs to be secure and compliant with the messages that you deliver and how you target those audiences. And it's really high impact. Trust is critical, timing with your messages, and transparency. We also considered, again, within the customers that you have, quote unquote customers, there's end customers, there's clients, there's also kind of the distribution channel with agents and or advisors that you might work with. So again, these are the things that we had on our consideration set as we did the evaluation of these 4. So again, I'll kind of do the color commentary, but as we looked at the financial services category, Salesforce in terms of pros, they do pretty well with wealth management. They have platform integration with Investment, Advisor Engine for RIA and broker-dealer use cases. They have a nice lead scoring, and I wouldn't say this is specific to financial services, but it does help. So lead scoring based on assets under management and loan amounts or premium values versus generic sort of behavioral metrics. And they do have compliance-ready email templates, which is nice. Cons, again, this is also dependent on kind of where you're at in terms of your evaluation or how much you spend, but depending on where you land, Salesforce can get somewhat costly, and we can talk more about that. HubSpot, in terms of its pros within the financial sector, ease of use and adoption. So they have some nice integrated platform benefits for marketing and sales and service alignment. That's kind of crucial for financial services and the client experience. They have nice lifecycle management for tracking prospects, deal pipeline tracking, and client portal functionality. Some of the cons, and you'll probably see a pattern as we go through the rest of the rounds across the different categories, but with HubSpot, there are some database limits that may constrain, especially large financial institutions that have, that are getting into the millions and millions of prospects and records. Eloqua, on the other hand, Pro, is their massive scalability. So they can handle tens and millions of prospects and contacts that are typical of large enterprise financial institutions. They also have nice scale as it relates to global deployment. So if you're operating globally or multinationally, they fit both local compliance and regional compliance standards. Some of the cons, I would say, again, within our experience, there is a little bit of complexity with relation to implementation. So the build and implementation cycles can be a little bit longer in the range of upwards of 18 plus months, again, depending on how complex of an implementation you need. There are some complex data migration from legacy systems that require, some pretty good planning. Additionally, similar to Salesforce, there can be some cost constraints in terms of the comparison against these different platforms. And then last, just from, again, because it scales so well and it is built for complexity, there can be some UX challenges related to the interface. Out of the box, it can be complex. So configuring it based on your workflows can take some time. But with all of that being said, head to head, I will hand it over to Isaac to identify which contender wins this round.
And the winner is Marketo. So Marketo takes the belt in FinServ, generally speaking. Eloqua's features come close-ish, but the scale and complexity make it challenging for a large number of organizations that aren't at the enterprise scale. If we look at the actual scoring here, Marketo came in with a total of 27 points. Eloqua came in second with a total of 20 points. We scored these and all of the other verticals across usability, flexibility, scalability, data, customer experience support, and sales alignment to give you some total scores at the bottom. By the way, this will be available for you later on if you'd like to reference it. When we talk about Marketo being the winner, we're saying Marketo is the general winner. Are there other times when other platforms make sense? Absolutely. So we're not saying across the board, always get Marketo. we are saying is that Eloqua might make sense if you're looking for highly customizable workflows in a large scaling organization that needs a lot of complex workflows. If you're willing to put in the engineering, Eloqua is a incredibly powerful platform, just not great out of the box for those companies that aren't really used to using it with regard to UI. HubSpot also makes sense when we start talking about startup banks and fintech, maybe even mid-sized banks and fintech. Early stage and mid-sized fintechs and banks don't need a whole lot of bells and whistles. They need to be able to communicate with their customers. They need to be able to do outbound marketing. They need to make sure that they're following the basics of compliance. HubSpot's awesome for that because the speed to market is very rapid. And once you get to a point where you need that complexity, well, you have the money to pay for it. All right, passing it back to Arturo for round 2.
Yeah, and before we continue into round 2, hopefully doesn't need a reminder, but I'll say it out loud anyway. Again, if you have any questions, certainly add them to the chat. We have a team member, Hannah, who's monitoring the chat, who can help pause and we can answer questions in real time, or we can save it towards the tail end of the presentation today. So round 2, enterprise B2B SaaS. So if you are in the category where you're selling software technology or even hardware to a certain degree, we took a look at this based on how do these platforms perform in product-led growth situations and scenarios, especially as it relates to sales expansion. Other things that we wanted to consider are integrations across CRM, which we know is a key platform for not only this category, but all categories, especially if you're in a sales-led organization as well. And product analytics, syncing up of understanding and tracking performance of how those things are being engaged with and or conversion rates against your products. Life cycle, nurturing and ongoing programs that are both automated as well as where that flows into ABM activation. And then support segmentation and A/B testing. And like I mentioned earlier, metrics across how your products are doing from the end-to-end funnel. So the experience that we have across B2B SaaS includes companies like Atlassian, Athena Health. We also work with Zealous, among others. This has been actually one of our more deeper categories in terms of experience of clients that we've worked with. As we get into the evaluation and kind of who's and how they pair up in comparison to each other. Salesforce, again, really good at multi-touch attribution, especially if your sales cycles are fairly complex and include those sort of matrixed buying committees. They also have nice campaign influence reporting. They have the opportunity contact rules where you can track multiple stakeholders at enterprise SaaS deals, and then advanced segmentation. Again, I wouldn't say these are specific to B2B SaaS, but just again, out of the box, these pair well with a SaaS category and the process for buying. In terms of cons, again, pricing can be expensive, especially from a database perspective as you continue to expand, or if you're in a rapid growth maturity phase of company. HubSpot pros, they have some nice built-in product analytics that can track user behavior, feature adoption, and engagement patterns. They also have nice subscription lifecycle management through integrated CRM and billing tools. Another feature which is very specific to SaaS technology is that trial to paid conversion optimization. So with that, you have this nice automated nurturing and seamless sales handoff. And they also have really good built-in product analytics for tracking user behavior, feature adoption within your product suite or solution and engagement patterns. Some of the cons, with regard to more advanced automation, they have a little bit of limitation related to complex enterprise SaaS sales processes. But again, that can be somewhat addressed with any custom configuration within the system itself. Eloqua, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but one of the pros with them, massive database capacity. So again, they can handle millions of records. The custom data modeling really works well and accommodates complex SaaS product catalogs and subscription models. One con on them is they don't have necessarily a native product analytics feature. So this does require some extensive custom integration for usage-based automation. With that, I'll hand it over to Isaac to announce the winner of this round.
And the winner, by decision, is HubSpot. So HubSpot takes it by decision. They actually edged out Marketo by a single point here. But what's really interesting about HubSpot is the custom built capabilities or inbuilt capabilities specifically for SaaS. That makes them ideal in this space, unless you are a very large organization that need customization beyond the limits of HubSpot, and you're willing to spend the engineering on something like an Eloqua or a Salesforce. HubSpot really takes the cake. Marketo might be useful for advanced ABM orchestration. If you have really advanced ABM workflows, Marketo has some good capabilities, as well as deep segmentation for multi-product orgs. Eloqua makes sense, like we said, for large organizations, global sales enablement focus, complex workflows. Eloqua is awesome. Pardot makes sense when you have a Salesforce first strategy or kind of a single provider first strategy. So if you're using their CRM, the integration with their CRM here really gives you a lot of advantages over integration with other platforms. Or if you have a lean RevOps team, or you have B2B SaaS that's really focused on deal velocity, then Pardot is really useful in that case. So before we keep going, if you have questions, let's just remind you can put those in the questions area, and Hannah will try and get those answered for you. Otherwise, we're going to go on to round 3.
Round 3, here we go. Healthcare manufacturing. So obviously similar to FinServ, healthcare has a lot of compliance and regulatory considerations. In terms of, again, similar to just in terms of the complex nature of the audiences that you might be targeting across influencers and stakeholders, especially as it relates to providers and clinicians. You also have to consider procurement teams, leads, and officers, as well as sort of that middleman distribution channel. So again, when you think about healthcare manufacturing, that's the companies and brands that we've worked with include McKesson, which does both supplies as well as pharmaceuticals, Zoetis, which is a pharmaceutical company. We also work very closely with WSA, which is a hearing technology company, BD, and Edwards, which is a multinational company. A couple other things to consider here is, especially as it relates to healthcare, is the educational. So there's obviously, when you get FDA approval, those are the things that you want to show, evidence-based, making sure your product and or solution is safe for patients. So we took that into consideration as it relates to healthcare as a nuance. So as we look at the next sort of evaluation, the 4, in terms of Salesforce. So Salesforce over the years has done really, really well to create more built-in compliance with their system. So again, FDA Part 11 compliance, HIPAA compliance, SOX compliance. Some of the limitations that Salesforce has is there's a little bit of limited medical literature integration. So that requires third-party solutions for evidence synthesis. And there's also, again, if you're in the pharmaceutical and med device category, limited sample management tracking and compliance. So again, if you're in those subcategories within healthcare, something to think about. On the Marketo end, pros, similar to Salesforce, they've done a ton to build in compliance and security for healthcare. So again, similar to Salesforce, HIPAA, FDA. But they also have some nice built-in platform connectivity to databases like IQVIA for evidence and market research. They have a nice clinical trial management integration, medical information system connectivity that helps streamline medical inquiry response workflows, and also healthcare analytics platform integrations with like Komodo Health and Flatiron. If we get into the next contender, HubSpot, some pros for them. Nice healthcare professional engagement built in as a part of their email marketing function. They have healthcare compliant templates and automated nurturing sequences. They also have a nice webinar integration for that continuing medical education and clinical training. Cons, just in general, from a healthcare landscape perspective, that's not super deep. So they lack some of the core, understanding of healthcare industry depth, enterprise healthcare scalability, and specialized healthcare functionality. Again, last, rounding out the 4 Eloqua pros, sophisticated segmentation that can handle complex healthcare provider taxonomies and specialty classifications. Again, their data modeling is pretty premier that accommodates these complex, intricate healthcare product catalogs and clinical evidence hierarchies. Some of the cons, global regulatory variation. I think sometimes it can struggle, again, within healthcare specifically, country specific marketing regulations. And if you're in med device classification lacks a little bit of sophistication for complex device regulatory pathways. But with that, who wins this round, Isaac?
All right. And the winner is Marketo. So Marketo just kind of takes the prize here. They have the compliance aspects, which you can also find in Salesforce, but they also have a lot of the medical integrations out of the box that you don't find on other platforms. In this case, Marketo is a clear winner. One note that, when other platforms make sense, Salesforce does have a ton of good, medical industry capabilities. They also have an integration into their Health Cloud. So if you're using Health Cloud and you're looking for a B2B map with Health Cloud, then Pardot or account engagement just makes a ton of sense. HubSpot makes sense for, once again, emerging healthcare companies and healthcare manufacturing, or maybe, you're talking about doctors' offices or small healthcare groups. HubSpot makes a lot of sense, but doesn't have a lot of the deep healthcare integrations that you find in the other platforms. That being said, let's move on to the fourth and final round, round 4.
Yeah, thanks, Isaac. And one thing to note before we get into our last round and finalize the presentation here, as Isaac has talked about, you can kind of see where these platforms do well, especially as it relates to where you are in your growth for maturity. And so again, if you're kind of a leaner company, HubSpot tends to be a little bit more user-friendly. But if you're getting into that enterprise level where you're in the Fortune 100 set of companies, you want to start looking at the Salesforces, the Marketos, and the Elkos of the world. So again, other things to think about as you go through this. But for hospitality, specifically in the experience that we have with regard to dining, which includes fine dining, quick serve, fast casual, the things that we thought about was sort of this, not only B2B, but the B2B2C aspect. So obviously there's end customers and patrons of your locations. But we also know that there's some models related to either location-based and or franchise models that we want to consider. So some of the things and parameters that we looked at were sales-led growth for from a B2B side, kind of think corporate and or large group catering, again, think events as well. The franchise marketing support. So again, how do you support and enable individual franchisees, but also ensure that your brand is maintained through the marketing automation platform that you're using. There's also the partner and vendor enablement. So a lot of the companies that we work have third-party partnerships. And also even the partnership and work that we do with American Express, they have a partnership with Resi. So again, reservations and third-party integrations are also key to that to enable the end customer experience. And then again, multi-location, multi-franchise lifecycle orchestration was key. And personalization. Can't say it enough, but how do these platforms help enable that at scale? So getting into it, Salesforce, in terms of the pluses for them from a dining and a hospitality perspective, they have nice multi-location and franchisee management. So within that, there's account hierarchy functionality where you can manage these complex structures across corporate, regional, and individual locations. You can have tie-ins to a franchise partner portal where you can centralize marketing resources. You can have campaign templates ready to go, and you can have performance reporting at your fingertips. They also have within sort of the enterprise restaurant chain capabilities, multi-brand management, where they can support restaurant groups with dining formats and segmentation across targeted audiences, and then guest data. So again, customer data, they call themselves, I think they still do, the customer company. So again, not isolated to hospitality and dining alone, but their customer 360 platform has matured very, very well over the years in terms of unifying guest interactions across different touch points like apps, websites, and in restaurant experiences. And they also have some nice lifetime value, customer lifetime value calculation to track guests sort of growth at an individual level or segment level across locations and dining patterns. Some of the cons, what I would actually call them more kind of at the end experience perspective and in dining experience or in hospitality experience. So this includes, there's a little bit of limitation with SMS marketing. So again, you can buy another SKU under Salesforce to address that if needed, or bring in your own. Account engagement has basic loyalty program integration. So again, also caveat, where you get into more B2C direct, this is where you might now want to start considering going from, if you have account engagement, to consider Marketing Cloud. So again, two different avenues and flavors under Salesforce that address different business needs. Some of the things with account engagement in terms of operational integration challenges include there's limited point of sale integration, limited inventory management, and delivery platform connectivity. So again, if you're an organization or a company that has delivery connections to DoorDash or Uber Eats, Grubhub, some of the integrations, you might have to build in more custom integrations there.
That, or as you said, use SFMC.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
With Marketo, the pros, they have some nice restaurant marketing automation with menu item promotion that you can automate limited time offers and or like seasonal menu launches. Win back campaigns in terms of re-engaging lapsed customers with personalized incentives. There is good data integration and analytics within hospitality. So again, they perform better at point of sale connectivity than account engagement with Salesforce, especially integrating transactional data with marketing automation workflows, and also loyalty program synchronization. So again, if you have a loyalty program, which a lot of hospitality and restaurants do, you can use that data tied into your marketing platform and create these personalized messages with those incentives. And then last, from an operational perspective, pretty decent franchisee and multi-location support with campaign, templates that these franchisees can use, down to the asset library management, and even down to like training resources. You can use Marketo as a means to drive educational content to the franchise owners to ensure they're adhering to your brand and your experience standards.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of HubSpot, HubSpot did okay. I think one of the things with them that we saw was sort of a delta was they have very basic loyalty program integration. They also don't perform well in terms of point of sale connectivity and delivery platform integration. And then from an enterprise restaurant and the chains or locations, there's a little bit of scalability issues, and they struggle with kind of large franchisee networks and high value operations. And then Eloqua, again, if you're getting into a multinational operation, they're great. But again, from an experience perspective, I think they have limited loyalty program and integrations. Same with HubSpot, limited delivery and point of sale integrations as well. So with that, I will hand it over to Isaac to announce the winner of this round.
All right. And the winner is Marketo. So Marketo lands the win in B2B hospitality. HubSpot came in, but just didn't have quite enough. So scoring in here at the bottom, Marketo had a total of 28 points, HubSpot 25 points, Salesforce 19, and Eloqua 20. So when does it make sense to use these others? So HubSpot, it might make sense if you have franchise marketing teams and a limited MarTech staff, and you need to just kind of do the basics. HubSpot makes sense, but if we start integrating loyalty programs or other delivery integrations or other hospitality integrations, there might be a challenge. Good news is with HubSpot is they have a huge third-party integration network, so chances are you might be able to find something there, but it doesn't come with HubSpot out of the box. Eloqua, when it makes sense, as Arturo said, large multinational chain, multiple brands, multiple marketing teams. If you have needs like that, Eloqua, once again, just makes a ton of sense. And then Pardot made sense for Salesforce-centric organizations, especially if you have Salesforce Marketing Cloud, because you can get some of those capabilities that aren't available on the Pardot / account engagement side. That being said, if you have questions, please throw them in the chat. We'd love to talk through them with you. or we're happy to talk to you afterwards. But before we let you go, we wanted to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. So Arturo, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Isaac. So shameless plug and a little bit of a commercial. I won't take too much of your time. But Shift, we call ourselves a business and growth partner, really centered around three different core competencies with digital products. So think websites, apps, portals, e-commerce. Our expertise is end-to-end, so strategy, design, and engineering. Lifecycle marketing, that includes our expertise, which is really kind of where our bread and butter has been over the years, with customer relationship marketing, strategy, and then largely also within the execution avenue, email, SMS, automated marketing programs, and then revenue operations. So in and around business process, helping you identify market strategies, ICP, and then how tech, data, and AI really enables all that. We see a lot of these three pillars working together. So like to try to hit that sweet spot of being the perfect blend of thinkers and doers. And again, our DNA purpose-built to drive growth. In terms of our expertise, which is why we went through those four categories, deep expertise in healthcare manufacturing, FinServe, B2B SaaS, restaurant, and hospitality. I will say these aren't the only categories that we have experience in. So if you do see any opportunities or things that you might want to chat more about and you're not in one of these, we're still happy to give you an opinion and things to think about. Along those lines, shameless plug here, we're happy to be in your corner. So we have a couple things that you can kind of continue the conversation with is one, complimentary map selection assist. So if you join this webinar, you may be sort of either early in the stages of considering a map solution. So if you are, we're offering a 1-hour session with our Shift team, both sort of the technical platform experts as well as strategists. We'll look at kind of what's happening in your world today and then maybe help you find the criteria of what you need to set to identify the right map that works for you and your business. And maybe that informs an RFP process selection. And then the other is a CX spot check. So what we do with this is we look at kind of key digital touch points. So think email, web, app, et cetera, and figure out, are they working together? How are those messages? What is the content and the brand consistency? And are you delivering on kind of key moments of driving growth? So again, you can find these links in the resources section if you click on the right-hand side of the webinar platform. But we're happy to help. With that, I'll give it back to Isaac to kind of close up the session today.
Awesome. Thanks, Arturo. So one additional item. So this is a series. The second series in the series, Battle of the Maps Part 2, is taking place on July 17th at 1 p.m. Central Time. This is going to be more down in the weeds technical session with some of our strategists and operators who actually deploy these systems, where they will be defending their platforms and the capabilities within them based on use cases. So if you want to get some of your engineering teams from your managers, this is probably good for operator to manager level within your marketing ops teams. Please sign up. You can find to it in the resources section as well. That being said, it's been wonderful to have you all here. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you have questions, there's also a contact us form in that resources section. We'd be happy to talk to you, and we won't even charge you. Thanks for attending, and have a wonderful day, and hopefully we see you in part 2.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.